Okay. Here we are. Part 2 of getting around on your own motorcycle in the Philippines. Now, if I have convinced you that you should get your own motorcycle, then you must, of course, know that you have a driver's license that is valid. And you should know that there is no insurance, like third-party insurance. I have some insurance like that. It costs 300-400 pesos, but it's basically worthless. And you cannot get full insurance on a motorcycle. You can have it on a car, but if somebody steals your motorcycle or you drive out in the ditch for some reason, there is no way you get any money back. So if you are interested in having a motorcycle, of course you can choose between a business model, which I had before, Honda TMX. Now I have a Yamaha YTX 125. There is a very lovely Honda TMX Supremo, it's called. It's a 150cc with 5-speed gearbox, electric start, and gear position. It shows the gear position, and it's a very nice ride indeed, but it's a bit costly. So the cheapest motorcycles here are the Chinese, like Rosco or Pinoy, whatever they call them. They are Chinese copies of the old Honda TMX, basically. Those kind of bikes, they may look good, but my experience is very bad with them. So it depends on the bike. But the brother of my ex-girlfriend in Cebu, he got a new one, a Motoposh, and after 3 months it looks like it was 20 years old. Of course, the guy was not behaving. Also, he handled the bike very badly, but the quality of bushings and bearings and stuff like that is not always on par. So it's better you get the Honda is the most trusted brand in the Philippines, and you will usually get the parts for it. Now, if you have a Suzuki, the parts may be costly and hard to get. And the same thing actually with Yamaha. I have a Yamaha YTX, as I told before, with a 4-speed gearbox, manual gearbox, 17-inch wheels, top speed around 90 kilometers an hour. That's fine. It's a very nice motorcycle, very economic, and it has a self-starter. It has also a Kickstarter. The lights are good. The vehicle is quite big. You have room for you and your passenger. It's very sturdy. You have the 4 shock absorbers on the rear. Of course, if you are not having a sidecar or pulling a lot of weight, you just take off one of the shock absorbers on each side, so there's only one on each side. Okay, you got it. Otherwise, it will be very hard and cannot absorb so much the shocks. It will maybe shock you when you drive into a pothole. Then you have the cheapest ones, Bajaj. Have you heard about Bajaj? Maybe not. Bajaj is an Indian motorcycle company. They started back in the 1960s, cooperating with the Vespa, but then they just kicked out Vespa and continued to produce Vespa copies. And then Bajaj, they have cooperated with several other international companies, and for quite a while they have been working with Kawasaki in Japan. So actually, Kawasaki Bajaj KB100 is a Kawasaki motorcycle, 2-stroke that was built in India with the Bajaj branding, but it is a Kawasaki. Also Kawasaki Eliminator, very beautiful. I had many of those. I'm a specialist on the Kawasaki Eliminators. That came as a 175cc. It's a cruiser. It came there in India, and I drove it in India back in 2001. Very beautiful bikes. That is a real Kawasaki, but it has the blue B for Bajaj on the tank, as well as the Kawasaki. Now, there are some, but you have Bajaj CT100, CT125, which are some of the most trustworthy and affordable motorcycles here in the Philippines, and they are sold with Kawasaki stickers on them. But this is basically 100% Indian-made motorcycles, but they are very good. Parts are readily available. So if you are on a real budget and you are fine with having a Bajaj logo on the tank together with the Kawasaki sticker, you can get a Bajaj. I would recommend them also. But basically, I would say you go for a Honda or a Yamaha. I wouldn't go for Suzuki here because Suzuki is very hard with spare parts, very expensive. So Yamaha or Honda. Kawasaki, a very special deal. The Bajaj is okay. So you get yourself a motorcycle and then you are ready for rock and roll, right? So when you go into the traffic, it depends on where you are, and your choice of motorcycle is also depending on what kind of road you are using. Of course, I chose the YTX at the time because we were living in the village, in the province, and the road is very bad. So I put off-road tires on it, and I also put a high like off-road front fender on it because sometimes I have to cross the river, mud, and all kind of stuff. So. You can imagine if you came there with a scooter, you might not be able to get home or away because the scooter will bump down in the ground all the time on the stones, the rocks, etc. So, but if you live in a nice place where there's all paved roads, and that is very practical to have a automatic vehicle. In Indonesia, I had a brand new Yamaha N-Max 155, very lovely vehicle, automatic, very powerful, with a big room under the seat. N-Max is very popular now in the Philippines. So if you can afford that one, I would really recommend it. It's built in Indonesia, very affordable, very good, wonderful vehicle. Otherwise, so you have the business models. You usually have 4-speed gearbox, sometimes 5-speed gearbox. They are made for, like, intended to use with a sidecar. Now, if you follow in my footsteps, you might put the sidecar on your motorcycle. It is very nice. It's like you have a small car. It's very practical. I love to go around in my sidecar here. But also I like to travel fast and furious on some long distances if I want to go. It's not very practical to drive with a sidecar, and it's actually illegal to drive a tricycle on the national highway. So I've done it a couple of times. I went to Davao City a couple of times with a tricycle, but it is actually illegal to use on the national highways, just for your information. So back in January this year, I purchased Honda XR150. I love the off-road bikes, of course, because in the province we have very bad roads, and I like the challenges of driving where no white man has been driving before, crossing the rivers and climbing up the hills. So the XR is perfect, but then came this fucking COVID-19 problem, so we cannot travel. So basically my XR is just standing outside the house here and getting bored because I don't use it so much. But if I need to go to Davao City, it's very easy for me to jump on that one and just boom, go there and do my business and then come back again. I have a top box on that one. Now the cash price for my YTX was 47,000 pesos in Malita, Davao Occidental. And then this XR, the cash price is 86,000 pesos. Very affordable. 5-speed gearbox, electric starter, front disc brake, tall, lovely, beautiful bike that has been on the market for years and years. The technology is bulletproof. Now the power is not very amazing. So I put on well, the carburetor, original carburetor, is the 24 mm. So I put on a 27 mm carburetor. I measured the intake hole. It is 27 mm. So I put the 27mm XR200 carburetor, and it gets maybe 2-3 horsepower more. I also removed some kind of air intake rubber that is limiting the air intake, so I took that away, and when I give the full speed now, it so you can hear there's something not totally stock. Also, I had to put a smaller front sprocket because the XR is geared like you would drive on the highway in Germany, almost like that. So, of course, if you have a motorcycle like that, you want to be able to go off-road. So I love to go off-road on off the beaten track with the XR. So I will, if you go for an XR, it is extremely, I mean, 86,000 pesos for such a beautiful, reliable motorcycle. It's amazing. And they're talking about phasing it out now. So they have a similar 150cc. It's called a CR 150cc. It's basically much the same bike, much the same engine. But the CR is much more costly. I think it costs almost 150,000 pesos for what you're gonna pay 50,000 pesos extra just because you have a rear disc brake. That's basically it. And then you have not the carburetor, but you have an fuel injector. And so what? You want to pay 40,000 pesos more, 50,000 pesos more just for that? And then you have a digital speedometer. Oh yeah, so cool, huh? But otherwise, it doesn't have more horsepower than the XR, and it's basically the same ride. So if you are tall enough, which I suppose you are, if you are an American or European, I would highly recommend you to get an Honda XR150. So let's go back to the traffic and how to get around. You must know that the Philippines is one of the more cultivated, how can I say, civilized countries when it comes to traffic. But still, we have the mentality here that the big is the boss. Okay, so if you have a truck or a big SUV or something, you are obviously much more important than all the other guys on the road. So you can basically just push them out of the road. You don't give a fuck because you are the king of the road, right? This is the mentality you see everywhere in Thailand, in Indonesia, in India, everywhere. In Romania also, by the way. I lived in Romania for a long time, and the guys there who are rich and have a nice BMW or Mercedes, they are the king of the road, and they don't care about you or other guys on the road. They are so selfish. And many people, they have this instinct here of racing and overtaking. So, of course, many of these people, they end up dead very quickly. Just 1 week ago, me and my wife, we were out riding on our tricycle, our lovely little tricycle. And then there came this guy on a Yamaha N-Max 300cc. It's very similar to the Yamaha N-Max, but much stronger, more powerful. And this guy, he was a big Filipino, chubby. He had a helmet. Thank God he had a helmet. And he had this hazard lights on. And of course, if you have hazard lights, you are the boss, right? You are the king of the road, and nothing can harm you whatsoever. So he was passing us like 100 kilometers an hour. And we're talking about here within the city limits. Okay, a lot of people here, kids, animals. But the traffic was not so heavy. And of course, he was just... And I thought to myself, that guy is going to end up dead very soon. And then just 2 minutes later, because we continued to drive forward, he was there at the roadside. The bike was on the ground, upside down. He was there. Maybe he survived. I don't know. I didn't want to stop and see because I don't even feel sorry for him. He had crashed with a tricycle. And it is very, very sad, but if he's the only one who got hurt, that is okay. The problem is this kind of idiots, they are hurting other people also. So I don't feel sorry for him. I didn't even want to stop there, and there were people taking care of him already. There was already, and when we came back, there was a police officer there who gave him some first aid. But if he survived, we don't know. So this is happening all the time. When I came to Davao first time, I ended up in an accident inside the bus. The bus driver opened the radiator and burned off my skin on the foot. So I had to go to the emergency room here in Digos and in Davao City. And wow, when you come in there, you see dead people. You see people who come in with a lot of, crushed face and so-called accidents. But Philippines are full of people who have no idea about traffic security or traffic rules. They don't even know the rules. Distancing, priority, parking, giving signals, and they are blinding you at night with their headlights, the cars, They love to put their long distance lights and you don't see anything. And of course, at the roadside, there are always people walking, or some dog or some cow or some goat, or just a big hole in the middle of the road lane. And you will not see, the road is ending right there. So you don't see that. So there are so many things to consider. Even though the highways are basically of quite good condition, the thing is that you have certainly the pavements, the road, the lane just stops. There is a light post there or a big hole. There's no more road. So you have 3 lanes or 4 lanes, and then suddenly there is no more lane on the right side. And in my part of the world, in Europe, you basically have the slow traffic, like it would be here, the mopeds and the tricycles and the trucks and the buses. They would basically have to go on the right lane. And then the middle lane is for the faster traffic, and then the third lane is for overtaking. So the left lane, the one you are in the middle of the road, that is the fast lane, that is for overtaking, right? But here in the Philippines, you will find that the slow trucks and everything, they will stay in the overtaking, the fast lane. And I found out why. Because I don't want to have all the hassle with always changing the lane. Because if they would stay in the right lane, they will always have to stop, because the tricycle or the multi-cab will suddenly stop to pick up or drop off some passenger. And as I said, the lane just stops. There is no more. There's just a big hole, just some grass and a field there. No more lane. So. And then the ordinary rule, the rule in my country at least, is that if you overtake, you must overtake on the left side of a vehicle. So in Norway, many of the national highways have only 2 lanes. So you have one in this direction and one in that direction. Of course, we have some highways with 4 lanes, 5 lanes, 3 lanes in every direction maybe. But most Norwegians, they know how to, you have to have a good education to get from the driver's school, to get a driver's license in Norway. And of course, you know how to drive, how to behave. So if you're going to overtake, you have to overtake on the left side. It's illegal to overtake on the right side of a vehicle. Here in the Philippines, nobody heard about that kind of rule. So even if I'm driving in the mid lane, which I will recommend you, if there are 3 lanes, you drive in the mid lane, okay? And then suddenly somebody will boom on your right side, even if the left lane, there is no traffic there. But they love to do slalom like this, and these fucking bastards, they are ending up in the graveyard quite soon. The problem is they are taking people with them. So you can say, why did you come to the Philippines and why are you complaining? Well, I'm just trying to share my my experience. I love to drive here. I love it. People are usually very courteous, but you need to know what is the difference. Most people here don't have any driver's license, or if they have it, they never went to school, to a traffic school, to learn basic rules and behavior. But now I know they have changed the system. Now it's getting stricter. When you are on the road, you must understand you share this road with people, with kids, with dogs, with goats, with cows, with chicken, with drunk drivers. with people who go with bicycles and so forth, and almost nobody wear a helmet unless they have to. If there is a police controlling them, they need to wear a helmet. Otherwise, they don't like to wear a helmet. Even me, I don't like to wear a helmet if I'm driving just in a neighborhood. But if I'm going more than 5 minutes ride, even in the province, I will put a helmet. If I'm going 10 minutes drive and I know the road is dangerous and you don't want to end up in falling off your bike into the ditch without a helmet, right? So helmet is very important. You should also wear gloves. You should not wear flip-flops. You should wear proper shoes. Long pants is a good idea. Long pants, okay. Even some jacket maybe and gloves. So what you need to do is to learn, observe and learn how to get around. You must of course be very careful, not drive fast, not drive aggressively. This is not a racing track. This is a place where people of all kind of and all kind of activities are going on the road and close to the road. So just be aware, somebody will overtake you on the left, on the right. If you want to change the position, like you are going straight forward, right? You try to keep that place in the road, because in the moment when you go to the left or to the right, you end up maybe risking being hit by somebody who's coming behind you. And especially when it's dark, it's very dangerous here because so many vehicles, they don't have lights, especially motorcycles. And also in the dark, people are walking like dogs or cats, whatever. They don't know. They're just walking in the road, you know, on the right side of the road. And they have maybe black t-shirt, they have dark skin, black hair. You don't see them, especially if some oncoming traffic is blinding you also. So then you have to slow down, you know. If you cannot see what is ahead of you, you have to slow down, break down, my friend. You must never drive faster than what you can see what is ahead of you. You understand? Because suddenly the road is gone. Maybe there's a big pothole. Maybe there was some, you know, there was a Norwegian man, 35 years old. Just a couple of weeks ago, he died here in the Philippines, in Negros Oriental, I think it was. He was driving at night, motorcycle, 1 p.m. He was going on a highway, national highway. And I just saw a photo on Facebook about it. And the bridge is basically missing. And they didn't put up any warning, no lights, no signal, no reflectors, nothing. So he just ended up in the river and he died. So that is the case. We don't know if he was speeding. I don't know if he had a helmet, whatever. But the police said he died of drowning. Well, that is quite unusual that you drown when you're driving a motorcycle. Of course, if they have secured the bridge properly, he would never get into that river and drown. So, but here, that is the situation. Back in Thailand some years ago, I was in Ban Chang. It's called, a city east of Pattaya, like 45-50 minutes from Pattaya, eastwards, close to Rayong. I was sitting there with my wife at the time. We were sitting in a bar or something. I think we had actually no, maybe we're not in a bar. Maybe we had some treatment of the feet or whatever, yeah, in the saloon. And then I heard a very powerful motorcycle. You know, wow, what the fuck is this? Who is driving like that? And then the next day I learned that it was a young Norwegian. His father lived there in Ban Chang, and he had a very powerful motorcycle, maybe more than 1,000 cc, really a racing bike. And his son borrowed that motorcycle. And I think he had a passenger on the bike as well, and driving like a maniac. And he died. He couldn't handle the speed and the road, so he died. Just after I heard him driving like that, he was already dead. So you need to think. People don't know the rules here. They don't care about the rules, and you would definitely not be speeding. All right. So then you have a lot of drunk drivers. Even taxi drivers are drunks. Drunk bus drivers, van drivers. Many of them, they use shabu, which is a very dangerous drug. I don't know so much. I think it's methamphetamine. They use it to get energy. If you see some of these bus drivers, and especially the van drivers, they are like really racing. They are carrying maybe 15 passengers in that van with a powerful engine, usually a Toyota 3-liter diesel, turbo diesel. And they are like maniacs. They will race with me. Even I go with my XR150 and they will race me. Oh, I mean, they are totally crazy idiots. And of course, accidents happen all the time. But I would say these are not accidents. There are not many accidents in this world. It's idiots, stupidity. It's not accidents. If you put your hand into the fire and you burn yourself, would you call that an accident? Of course not. Now you could swipe it like this for a few seconds and you will not be hurt. But if you keep your hand in the flame long enough, you will get hurt, right? And if you're driving like an idiot, you will get hurt, and you might hurt others also, which is a big problem. You must also know that there is no insurance here. You cannot get, for motorcycle at least, you cannot get complete insurance, and that will take care of you if you are in an accident. You must have a different insurance that will be maybe like a life insurance or accident insurance, but there is no insurance that will cover your motorcycle if you drive into a ditch or whatever happened. You have to carry the cost by yourself, and if you hit somebody, maybe you will be paying for years to the family of the person. So this is not a game. It's not a video game. It is real life, and you are here to get from A to B, and just use your brain, observe, look here, look to the right, look to the left. When I lived in Argo back in 2009 in Cebu, I think it was 2009, yes, or maybe 2010. There was a Norwegian. He was 60 plus. He had several children. He had a farm in Argo. I never met the guy, but we saw there had been a so-called accident, and they put out some cross there and some flowers, and they told us, this guy, he's a Norwegian. He has a wife. He have kids here, a farm, and then he was driving his motorcycle. The problem is he is how can I say, his hearing was not good. He had a problem with his hearing. So he was driving down along the beach, the national highway in Argo, and then he was using his blinkers because he was turning left. What happened is that there were two buses behind him, and they were racing each other like they like to do. The bus drivers, they like to race the other bus drivers for some reason, maybe because they want to pick up passenger before the other guy can pick up, etc. So they use the horn, and they see he's using the blinker going to the left. They don't care because they are using the horn, and they are the king of the road. His hearing is impaired, and he just came back from Norway. So when you come back to the Philippines after being living in Norway for a while, you need to take some time to get used again to the traffic, right? So this guy, obviously, he didn't see. Maybe he used his mirror, which is normal, but maybe he didn't see in the blind spot, because it's not enough to only see in the mirror. You have blind spots, right? So you must physically turn your head also and see. Obviously, he didn't do that. So he got whacked fine by the bus. It turned out that the bus didn't even have brakes. So the man died on the spot. Very sad. So there's so many victims. They're talking here about COVID-19 and how it's so dangerous and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's dangerous at all. What is dangerous is the traffic here. And of course, drunk driving, as I mentioned a little bit before. and driving under the influence, it is. I never saw anybody having any equipment to measure the blood level, alcohol. I have this one from Norway. I actually use it sometime because sometimes I drink, and then, well, especially when I was in Thailand, I like to drink and then drive, but I check my alcohol level, you see, because there is a limit, okay? So if you are over the limit, in Thailand, they check you. I actually got in jail in Thailand because I was driving under the influence on a scooter. So I got in jail, and I deserved it. But this is good. But why don't the police have something like this? Maybe they have in Manila, but I was never, ever controlled by anything like this in the Philippines. In Norway, the first day I got my license at the age of 18, I was stopped in drunk driving control, where you have to blow in this. Let me see. You can see how this works now, okay? You go down, it starts counting from 100, I think, and now I have been drinking, but many hours ago, 5 hours ago. So, okay, let's see here. So let's see what is there. If I'm fit for drive, yes, it says 0, 0, 0, you see? So I am fit to drive, okay. So it's good to have something like that if you like to drink and then you want to check out before you go on the motorcycle. If I think the limit here is 50 per mil, as we say in Norwegian, promille, 50, 0.5, but you have to check out for yourself. But this is the situation that so many people drive drunk here, no helmet, no lights, no nothing, and it's just so terrible, so sad for everybody. So that is also another thing, is road signs. It's very rare to see any speed limit signs, and sometimes they put the speed limit that is ridiculous, like 30 kilometers an hour, and everybody goes 80 kilometers an hour. And also the road signs to show where you're actually going to go. If you go from Digos and you want to travel to Davao Occidental and Malita, you go south out of Digos, and then there is an intersection with a gas station there, but there is no sign. No sign. The sign is laying on the ground. It's been laying there for several years. So the first time we went there to Digos, and we want to go back to Malita, we ended up on our way to Sarangani, up in the mountain, and we realized, hey, Sarangani, this is not our place. So we were on our way to General Santos. So we had to turn back and go. And so you need to know that you cannot expect there to be proper road signs, okay? And the funny thing is, if you ask somebody here in the Philippines about the road or a direction, many times they will just mislead you. Maybe they don't know, but they are too embarrassed to tell that they don't know. So they will tell you, go there, and you go there, and there is nothing there. Well, when that is said, I would say enjoy driving in the Philippines. Wear always helmet, wear good shoes. I will show you. I have leather boots, which I like to use if I'm driving my XR for an extended period, or if I'm going to drive off-road, of course. And I don't only have the boots, I have protectors for the elbows and for the knee, for the legs. I have proper motocross helmet. And so forth. So enjoy the Philippines. Be safe. Don't drive too fast. Don't drive aggressively. Protect yourself. And if you cannot see what is ahead of you, slow down. Don't drive drunk, okay? And know that even if you are the best driver in the world, you can still be hit. by somebody who is definitely not the best driver in the world. Okay, take care now. Hope you got something out of this. God bless.